that I believe right now you guys are paying tipping fees to haul everything down to Rochester.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of effect is that having on your budget, and what can be done to ease that?
Well, are you referring to Mrs. K's proposal to?
In part.
Yeah. I know the town of Weymouth looked into partnering with the city of Quincy a number of years back on trash, and they found it to not be any savings there. I don't know if they looked into going with Braintree. If there's savings to be had, I would be willing to, pursue that. We have a $4.5 million budget roughly on trash removal, and that's recycling, trash removal, trash collection, and then trash disposal. And what you're talking about is one part, just the trash hauling. So, I'm not sure what the savings will be, but any savings would be worthwhile investigating. So my position would be that it's worth looking into.
Is Weymouth as built out as it can be?
Yes.
So other than Southfield, you see no other new development, nothing in?
Well, I think the only development you're going to see is redevelopment. There are housing lots here and there, and frankly, those are a source of concern for a lot of residents. They think development is going into places it shouldn't go. But as far as Weymouth, if you look at the DOR website and look at new growth, if you take out the 1 year that Weymouth had the power plant come online, Weymouth has really been one of the lower communities as far as new growth in the state. While people perceive a lot of building to be happening, really there isn't, from a dollar value anyhow, assessing point of view, it's not really a big dollar volume. I think it's more the type of development that's occurring. It's filling in on lots that people didn't think could be developed, and I think people are disappointed at some of the development that's happened along the thoroughfares. I think that's more what's bothering them, that I think people perceive Weymouth as a nice town, and it's kind of gotten more gritty, urban looking along the main ways. And I think people, at least, I've been out walking last 6-7 weekends, and I've met, I don't know, maybe 1,000 people, I don't know how many, a lot. And that seems to be, and they articulate it in different ways, but that seems to be something that's bothering them, and that kind of feeds into the Legion Field issue, and they're disappointed in how their town looks. Legion Field is the first thing everyone wants to talk about. They think it should be fixed. It's one of the main centers in town, and they don't understand why it's been the way it has been for so long. And
how are you going to fix it?
Well, elect me mayor, and what I will do is I'll sit down with, I'll get a group together, some of my town employees that have been dealing with that, or the mayor has had dealing with that, people from the area and the youth groups, and let's sit down and figure out once and for all what it takes to get this across the goal line. I think, there are some people talking about it having no athletics on it. I don't agree with that. I think it should have athletic fields on it. It was acquired by the veterans to be an athletic field. I think something along the lines of what was there before, albeit with a smaller stadium. I don't think you need the big stands that are there now. I think you just need a small, I don't know how many the current stands hold, but you don't need anything near it. It's not going to be a high school stadium. You've got 2 middle schools there that could use the fields, and I know they want to put turf on that field because they want to get the lacrosse and soccer and football on that so that they're not digging up the other fields.
Would you agree to that?
Yes.
To have it that active, to have, you know,
Yes.
lacrosse, soccer, football?
Well, I think that's one of the things you have to sit down and talk to the neighbors. If the question is, are you going to have it going 7 nights a week? Maybe you say, well, pledge to only have it operating 3 nights a week. So, you know, I think you have to find out what the real concern is. I think one of the disappointing things about how the whole debate ended is it didn't resolve anything. It just kind of said no to what was there, and they never got to what should have been the answer. And I think that's what being a public leader is about, is getting things done. And I think, you know, I will sit down with the town council and the residents and the stakeholders, and before I put forward a plan, I'll say, you know, are we all in agreement that this is something that everyone can live with?
How would you describe your, you know, when your first day of mayor or whatever else, your managerial style, your leadership style? I mean, obviously with Mayor Madden have some connections, but you know, everyone's different. And how are you uniquely qualified to get things done? How will you approach problems, hard decisions, that sort of thing?
Well, I think as a town councilor, I had a track record of making hard decisions. I lost a lot of 10-to-1 votes during my years. And some of them, I think, over time have proved to be very good votes, even though I was in the minority. I think Weymouth has a lot of good employees, and I think there's a lot of honest, hard-working people who are trying to do good things. And I will sit down with them, and I know a lot of them personally from having served on the council all those years, and try and gain an understanding of what they're doing and try and communicate to them what my goals are and how I want to accomplish them. And you know, I think communication is going to be important. I think it has to be important in management. You know, the mayor is only as good as the organization he has to work with, and you know, I want to work with them, and I think Weymouth gets good value for its tax dollar, and I want to continue that. I don't know if I've answered your question. What was the question?
No, I mean, with your leadership style.
I mean, I think I'm going to be, I don't think I'm going to micromanage people, but I think I'm going to be engaged. I mean, I'm not going to be telling the police chief how to run the police department, but I do want to have him in on a regular basis and understand what the issues are and have a back and forth discussion with him, you know, what is his needs, you know, what's going on out there, and make sure that I'm fully engaged.
Well, you talked about the meeting with the police chief, and one of the things I wondered about is the perception of crime, and whether there is a problem, particularly along lines of drugs in Weymouth right now. There seems to be an awful lot of arrests, trouble in your neck of the woods on Bridge Street recently. In your conversations and looking at this, is there anything more the town can do in regards to drug problems, or really any crime matters that you think you could push as mayor, or is that something on your agenda?
Well, I think that, you know, and I distributed literature and I spoke about this at debates. I think it is a problem. I think we've seen recently a number of arrests and some high-profile arrests that are disturbing. And I think it's an issue we can't allow to languish. I think we need to be aggressive in pursuing it. And, you know, I think one of the best ways to keep teenagers out of trouble is to have programs to keep them out of trouble, you know, whether after school or, you know, sports programs. So, you know, when it comes time to set budget priorities, I want to make sure that that is an area